No, they're already over there.
So, hi, my name's Kate.
Hi.
We're learning faces. Holy smokes.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, this is like, so I may have to do the rundown for some of you who I don't know, who I didn't do one-on-ones with in October. So my name is Kate. I've been with the company for 3.5 years. Before this, I used to work with big brands. I brought Captain Crunch online. I brought Merck and Claritin online to the social sphere. So I've worked with now 8 different billion-dollar companies and 12 different $100 million companies. So I talk about all kinds of crazy social media stuff from my experience, but we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about traditional copywriting and how to leverage that in order to create content. So, backgrounds, right? We've got a bunch of backgrounds. We got marketing people, we got public relations people, we got political science people, we got creative arts. We've got, actually, I think we still have somebody with a science degree here on the team. Maybe not, that person may have left. And then there are others, right? So we have this plethora of backgrounds, but very few people actually have like straight out copywriting. They don't give that degree away in schools any longer. And so that's something that, you know, we may not get a lot of leverage, and I think a lot of people come to this job not always having traditional agency, paper agency material. So why should we go back to the basics? Well, with the varied experience, it also makes us stronger because we can always relate to our client base. But it also makes us weaker because we don't always know the right ways in order to communicate with them. Getting at least some shared base of knowledge of the copywriting game will help you set the rules of how to apply your varied experiences to benefit each of our clients, right? So if we can trade that knowledge that we have from the various experiences that we have, but then also put up into understanding the general underlying copywriting material, we can create larger and better results. So the first of these, which I think we all kind of naturally get after doing this for a while, is something known as value proposition writing. So this is the core piece of content that you need to have with every single client you work with. So what is a value prop? Well, this statement should describe the problem set that the company solves, how they are different from their competitors, and why prospective customers will benefit from interacting with them. This will provide you the keywords to centralize your content around. So what does one of these value props look like? Well, a value proposition for a terminator might be that we are, a bug resolution company inside geographic region, and we are different because we provide 24/7 service, emergency services, whatever it might be, right? Those are all keywords that you can then reuse in content consistently, and I'll explain this a little bit further later on. A second thing that you need to be thinking about regarding traditional copywriting is features and benefits. And these, you can leverage existing content to find them. So things like their website, things like their product descriptions, in order to find the features and benefits that are resonating with the current community. Additionally, you've got back content. So, before they came in to be a client, they very likely were already on Facebook, were already on Twitter. See what was actually resonating with the community that they were building and interacting with. It's a good thing to do. So, once again, client websites can have huge clues as to how the business sees itself and who they want to serve. But remember, some of our client websites absolutely suck. So use your best judgment about kind of how and when to use it and who their customer base is and the problems that we want to solve for them. This is where I'm going to get in trouble with Chris if he were here, but he knows me, and I always say write your content for 25 to 30% of your fan base, not 100%. You cannot service everyone at all times with all pieces of content. Stop trying. And this is where Chris would really get upset. If you're not upsetting or alienating 10% of your audience with a post a few times a week, your content is likely too bland and boring to garner clicks in the current environment. You need to elicit emotions. And I know that can be hard to sell to the business owner, but at the end of the day, we have to get them results. We have to get them sales. We have to get them calls, whatever the metric is that they most care about. You have to tie into that. So a corporate website, traditional large corporate Fortune 500 website, has a conversion rate of 2%. And they are that way for a reason. They're trying to solve all problems to all people all the time. I honestly do believe that we can do better. Or in it's here, we do gooder, right? So, figuring out ways to sit there and get higher click-through rates, higher engagement rates, because we're doing micro-targeting is not unreasonable, and I highly recommend it. Do not be afraid of going to the negative extreme. This scares most copywriters, this scares most community managers because they don't want to be seen as going negative. This creates a huge opportunity, though, for you to flip it. If your product, your service, the company that you're working with can become the resolution, and we can sell a fear resolution product, that's not unreasonable. People do it all the time. So, right, a good headline in one of these situations is, got bugs, we kill them. Right? Super clean, super negative, but it does give a problem and a solution all at once. One of the big things that copywriters do all the time is writing to who the reader wants to be, not who they currently are. So we all have a story going on in our head about who we currently are, and then the person that we want ourselves to be, the ideal self. Selling to the person that we want to be is much easier because nobody wants to be mired down in the logistics of their day-to-day life. So if I'm already the successful business guy who's making hundreds of millions of dollars, crushing business, I think of making decisions about investments or purchases a lot easier versus, hey, I'm a dude who just graduated from college who has $100,000 worth of debt. I can barely rub two nickels together. If I can get you thinking like you are that multimillionaire, I can get you executing on it. I get access to your capital, your cash, your wallet. And this relates to the aspirational content type that I outlined in Content Camp 1. I do believe that that is still required viewing for everybody. So, right, that aspirational bit of who people want to be is totally tied into kind of that stuff as well. So don't be afraid to reach up to where someone wants to go in order to get an engagement, get a sale, get a call, get a submission into a sweepstake. Activating the lizard brain, right? So there's part of us that is, still got that brainstem fight or flight kind of portion in our brains. This can be used in a number of ways. And so I'm going to go somewhere on the gray here and consider finding legitimate and allowed reasons to include things that look like buttons and graphics. Now, I know that on some platforms we can get in trouble for that, but if you're smart about it, corner logos with different colored backgrounds don't technically violate the Facebook terms as I currently read them. This could have changed, because I read them 2 weeks ago, but hey, there's an opportunity to leverage little things that are already existing that do not violate the terms of service with the pages. So don't be afraid to include things that look like things or are different colored in order to grab attention. It's not a bad thing. If a client website already has a color scheme or feel, don't be afraid to violate it in order to increase the likelihood of a click, right? We're trying to set ourselves apart. So if a brand page is traditionally blue, white, gray in color, right, because it's trying to fit in and look in place inside of Facebook, throwing up a completely red image is not a bad thing, right? Or tinting an image to be completely orange might be an interesting thing to play with. I want to get the groans from you guys. Write 30% more content than you need and then cut back down. Right? Yes, this is more time consuming, but you will get better results. And I'm going to help you create 30% more content very easily. For tweets, though, I actually want you to try to do the inverse. Instead of writing a whole full 140 characters, reduce it down to 98. That's a 30% decrease and expand only if needed. The reasons why are many. I think that it's a heck of a lot easier for people to read shorter posts on Twitter, even though it's already a short post platform. Additionally, it gives other people the opportunity to retweet, quote tweet, add commentary to your tweets, which is ultimately what we want people to do. We want them to engage. So if you give them more space to do so, when they repurpose that content, we might be able to catch that, engage with multiple people, not just a single person pointed for. Customers want a magic button. They always do. They want a resolution. They just want to press that easy button, solution, done. Don't be afraid to sell that way. Obviously, we're not going to sell products as if they're going to instantly make you look younger, thinner, more vibrant, or something that our clients can't deliver on. But there is zero reason why we can't position their current products and solutions as if they were a magic button. So, right, creating enough of a storyline through pieces of content in order to outline the story, and then the fact that just simply put, call us and we'll solve it. That is not something that is not allowed. By all means, do it regularly, and make our clients' products and services as much as you possibly can an order to take advantage of this magic button moment. Eliminating objections and providing reasons to believe is my next bit, right? So a lot of people have been in a sales environment, be it a car, mattress, whatever, super hardcore, right? And what are those guys doing? They're doing nothing but interacting with you in order to see what your objections are to closing a sale, and then giving you all the reasons why now is the time. They're just crushing them. And the more positive side of this is reasons to believe, right? So in initial objections or complaints, redirection to positive traits of the service is an option. So let's say somebody comes in and says that we failed, or our client failed to provide a product or service, right? We can redirect back to the positive traits so that it's not a negative back and forth if we do choose to engage. And choosing not to engage is a legitimate strategy. It's not one that I love, but it definitely can happen for some clients, some businesses. You're just not going to turn them around, so it's easier just to let it lay down and die. But yeah, trucker school is one of them that jumps right out at me.
Well, you haven't heard about that sales.
Fun.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't. So with a response like that, I'm really surprised. So I mean, those positive traits that we do have, right? Don't be afraid to redirect it and reinforce other content and perceptions in the marketplace that we are still providing a solution positive. Remind people who are hesitant or objecting to, whatever we're trying to do, how the product or service eases the core pain point. Understand what the solution that we are selling is providing the problem, like what that problem is, and create a quick little quip storyline in order to show that we are still doing that, right? You may not be happy with how we did it this time, but we still got the result of your carpets are cleaned. Things like that. So the next bit is customer testimonials, right? How many of you are currently using them? Awesome, couple, which is great. Yeah, every once in a while, I can live with this, right? These are opportunities for you to repurpose comments and other things, and they're incredibly powerful because they describe in the customer's words what the problem and solution are. And it also requires you to write less. So I recommend doing it more, right? Taking one or two of these in every content matrix is not disallowed. I'm sure Lisa will sit here and tell you that you should probably be doing it as much as it makes sense for that client. So be smart about that, and then by providing that reason to believe that you are providing the service, or our customer is providing the service that they say they are, you will write more compelling content. Headline tips. These are fun. Go to the extremes, right? Being nearly unbelievable is okay. Watch what you're clicking on your own Facebook feed, in your own news readers, right? Those insane headlines that BuzzFeed has work for a reason, because they are nearly unbelievable. TMZs, nearly unbelievable, right? Don't be afraid to go there every once in a while with our clients. I know our clients are conservative and they're business oriented, but push the envelope just a little bit. Problem and solution, right? This is the got bugs, we kill them situation, right? Nail it down as quickly as you possibly can. What the problem is, how we're going to solve it, right? This or that kind of posts from way back in the day can be repositioned into problem-solution posts. Think about doing that. One of the core ways that you can do this is social proof. So social proof is showing that hundreds or thousands of customers like this solution, right? So millions and millions served is the McDonald's things, or now billions and billions, right? You can sit there and you can use numbers in order to sit there and show that, yes, our customers, our clients are killing it at whatever their business is. You can obviously open by crushing the obvious objections. So a lot of our businesses, a lot of our clients will sit there and say, there's one thing, either it costs too much, right? Buying right now isn't the right idea. I don't need a new TV. Whatever it is, go and crush that in your headline, right? Your first, little bit, wherever that is, kill it from the start. Using words that are obviously emotional is another one, right? Amp up the response emotionally, and you will get more people to engage. I promise. It sounds weird, but if you say stuff at the extremes and you trigger emotions as well, you can get people to click on all kinds of crazy things. I mean, think about all the weight loss and diet ads and diet pills. Like, they're all the way to nearly unbelievable, and they're triggering your little emotional button in your head saying that you aren't looking the way that you want to be. Additionally, they are selling to the person you want to be. So all these things kind of line up into traditional copywriting. And then the final bit, right, we see this all the time on the social web, is reference to a list. Top 10 reasons, top 5, whatever, right? Making reference to a list in a headline almost generates a click on itself because people want to know what the tips and tricks, they want that magic bullet, they want that easy button. So don't be afraid to do that every once in a while, right? Especially in a Facebook post. Yes, I know that we want to go short, but having 5 reasons why our sweepstakes rocks and then listing them in a few more could be interesting for clicks, especially if you're pairing that with an interesting image. Things not to do, right? Forget to update the about components of your pages regularly, right? This is something that I see so many brands do horribly wrong. They set it once and they never go back. There's a massive opportunity for seasonality here for a lot of our clients. So using the about sections to reflect this is incredibly useful, right? So if you have a promotion going on, put it on the about tab as well. Put it in the Twitter bio. Have it be there because the about sections still are one of the top viewed pages on websites. They're top views inside of Facebook even, in the fact that people want context, right? It shows up in search results, in social search. It shows up now, with Twitter being indexed by Google again, in Google. So don't be afraid to update that regularly. I'm not saying it needs to be updated every month, but if you're running a huge quarter-long promotion or, hey, there's a big sweepstakes going on, don't hesitate to throw it in there. Do not focus on the company story versus the end clients, right? So we have to focus on the customers. The customers have the money here. Yes, we get paid by our clients, and they're lovely, and I'm very happy that they do so. They provide an ability for us to work and be paid for it. But remember that you're selling to the end client 99 times out of 100. Knowing what their pain points are and talking to them directly versus, hey, we're company X and we're awesome. It doesn't exactly help the client, the end customer, purchase. Multiple steps to complete a call to action, right? You guys know this, right? Sweepstakes is like one form entry. Give us your email. Done. If you are pushing out to multiple steps where it's like, hey, fill out this thing, and then we're going to sign you up for this other newsletter, you're going to fail miserably. And I don't think we're doing that at all. So my thing here is one clean ask always. Simple, clean. I want you to do one thing as a result of reading my content. And then my last one is failing to schedule time to proofread. Typos happen. They happen to all of us, right? And it happens to clients and back and forth. And so making sure that you include time to proofread is absolutely crucial. So, it may be one of those things where you pair up with somebody on the team and it's there.
You don't know our new QA process.
Nope. I don't.
That one I'm not worried about.
Cool. So click triggers, right? You likely know these because they're all over the web. Don't be afraid to use them for your clients, right? These are buy now, get the course, get started, shop HGTVs, right? Money back guarantees. These are click triggers, right? And especially that last one, get instant access with the payment processors underneath. That triggers people to think about buying, right? They're already thinking about, well, hey, do I have that credit card? Yes or no? So don't be afraid to play with these. It gets into that gray area. It can even go black on some platforms. But notice the different colors, the contrasting thing here as well, right? It all kind of lines up. Got just a couple more slides, right? The Whack Pack. This is a creativity tool that one of my college mentors introduced me to. It's an app on your phone. I think you can buy for $3.99. Or cards that bust ruts in content thinking by forcing you to think outside of the currently used tone and approach, right? So one of my favorite ones is exaggerate, right? And so basically you're taking your traditional content, how can you exaggerate on it? How can you make it bigger than life? Another one that I love is think like a child. So how would you talk to a child about this product or service in order to engage them? So they're like 65 in the pack right now. They're super old school, but they give you different prompts and then they give you a story underneath in order to try and get you to engage and get you to think a little bit different. And I think they're absolutely phenomenal for varying content, tone, and style. And so some of us, we write for the same clients again and again and again and again and again. Sometimes just thinking something just completely off the walls bonkers will be enough to get you a trigger into something more fun. Once again, the huge upside gain here, right? If we write better social copy, it makes PPC's job easier, right? Obviously, those who are in here for Jason know that this matters. Makes the ad dollar spent by client more productive, and as social is becoming indexable by Google again, so our work here may begin to dovetail with SEO, both internally inside of Facebook's algorithm and traditional on the open web SEO. So, questions for you guys. This is a Shula thing. So, what tool or trick do you think you can immediately use for one of your clients? Just throw it out there.
Well, I like the updating, like, profile pictures with the background images, because I remember when I worked with a company, Kroger was one of our clients,
Yep.
and every season, like whether it was summer, spring, fall, they would always change their, background image
Yep.
to match the season, and always get like a ton of likes. Like people would just like it for no reason. It's updating.
There's no call to action. There's nothing, but
Yeah.
people are engaging.
Yeah,
They
so-
get them back in the fold.
You reminded me of that, so thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got a tool that they can immediately throw out there? It's cool. It's not. I know this is speed round, so we're all good. How would you position an HVAC client as being a magic bullet solution to a customer's problem? HVAC sucks. I know. It's tough. It's a tough market. So, one of the ways that you can potentially do it, right, is heating and cooling is an energy thing for, especially here in the desert. More efficiency means more savings, right? Digging into those kinds of problem sets and then making our clients a solution is really simple. And finally, and this one I think I know the answer to already, do you think it'll be challenging to write content that 70% of your audience is not going to like, ignore, or won't even be exposed to? And then how about writing content that may annoy or inflame 10% of your audience's emotions? Like, is that something that you guys are comfortable doing? Can you be abrasive?
Depends on the client.
Yeah.
There's a few clients I'm not even going to touch that because they're already angry.
Yeah, and that's totally appropriate, right? Knowing context regarding a relationship is really important.
And I think I've brought up before, when you're gonna take risks, start taking your risks with the clients that you know are gonna go for it.
Yeah.
You all have clients that are easier, possibly never look at your content, just says, okay, go for it.
Check mark.
Check mark on the box, and you're good. If you know somebody, that's where you go, and that's where you take your risks. I will say, I will give you a warning because I have taken these risks. If you're going to write to inflame 10% of your audience emotions, please make sure you schedule your day out to handle the responses. Kate has said before, and I've quoted before, any engagement is good engagement.
Yep.
Yeah, they might be yelling and screaming, but guess what? You're showing up